Today I have a Benrus top loader. Goes through the crystal. You have to take the crystal off first to get to this movement. The hands and dial are removed. So I'm going to start on this side and get this gear out of the way. And we're going to turn this over and have a look at what we have here. What do we have? An AXZ on the bridge. I'm not sure what's underneath the balance. We can look at that later. Unadjusted Swiss, Benrus Watch Company. 17 joules. I know, people can read. So I'm going to take this apart, but we have to let that mainspring down. This type of movement, because it's a top loader, let's get a shot of this. There's where the crown extension goes in. It's kind of keyed in there, so it'll hold on to the stem, the winding stem. Right here is the click for the mainspring. See if I can show how that works. You can see that click getting out of the way. So we have to let this mainspring down first. Don't know if I can do this under the scope, but we're going to try. There we go. And just gently letting it down. I have a screwdriver in the stem, unwinding. I don't know how wound up this is. Not a whole lot, it appears. Okay, there we go. Mainspring is let down. So let's start with some of the obvious things first. The balance looks like it's stopped. We're going to take the balance jewel out first. Let's come around this way. Before I do that, I like to take a piece of Rodico, and I'm just going to hang on to the tail end of that piece. I don't think these are hinged. I think they come out free. They're not hinged in there. So there's one leg released. There's the other leg. This may be hinged, I don't know. I've never had one of these apart, so let's be cautious here. Focus. It is hinged. Good to know. Here's our jewel. We're going to put that in the tray. Close that up. And let's remove the balance. I'm going to change my angle here so I can see what I'm doing. That's better. There's a little machined recess right there to get a screwdriver under to pop that out. Okay. There's our balance assembly. It's a very fine hairspring, very fine. Don't even want
attempt to mess with that.
There's our balance assembly.
Next, we're going to take out the pallet fork.
That's just okay. Here's our numbers. We have a 239 here and a 95 there.
I have no idea what those numbers mean.
Everything's working so far. Focusing.
All right. Pallet fork bridge. There's got to be a spot to get under it. Right there. Okay. 2 pins, 1 screw.
All right, now let's move on to the main train.
You can see the wheels are spinning freely when I put a little energy
Into that mainspring. That's a good sign. This wasn't ticking very well, so I just think it needs just get some gummy oil out of there, clean it up, give it a service, and then I'll sell this.
I'll put this up on eBay or somewhere. I don't know. I have no use for it.
Somebody gave it to me and
Said, here, you can have this. Okay, 2 screws holding on the main
gear train bridge.
You'll have to excuse me if I don't know all the names of the parts. That's just the way it is.
And we have a little recess. See if I can focus that better.
A little tiny recess right here. I can get a screwdriver in. Work that loose. So now we have some wheels we can take out.
Right here.
Escape wheel.
This wheel is obviously captured underneath the mainspring winder.
So let's get that off next.
That should be
A regular screw.
I can use the click to hold it.
In place and unscrew it.
And then that reveals our click and its
Spring. I don't want that spring taking off.
So I'm going to put a piece of Rotico in there.
Just to hold on to it, since I've never had one of these apart. Looks like it's already loose. Okay, it's already loose. So we'll see how that goes together later.
Alright, there's our click and the
Spring. Now we can take this wheel. I'm going to call that the second hand pinion. Another wheel. This one's probably buried somewhat.
So let's take the mainspring bridge off.
This winding pinion here is probably left-handed thread.
That means I turn it right to loosen, left to tighten. So there's tight.
I'm going to turn it to the right because it's a reverse thread. Turn it to the right and it comes loose.
And if you notice, there's a little bit of wear
Right here on the plating, you can see some of the brass
coming through.
an indication that this hasn't been serviced in a long time, if ever. So who knows? Okay, let's get the winding mainspring bridge out of the way. 1 screws,
2 screw, 3 screws.
not much to say here.
That's why I'm not talking.
Not much to say.
Okay.
Should be a spot to get a screwdriver under here. Right there. Yep. Off it comes. Looks like our mainspring barrel is
Coming out with it.
Let's have a look at that. Here's our mainspring barrel.
We'll take that apart later. Bridge. And now we can remove this wheel.
So everything is stripped from this side. This device here, we're going to,
this is the keyless works. We're going to end this video now. We'll start another one and do the rest of this disassembly. So stick around.